Today, Daniel and I are going to explain a couple of electives in our program, Process Control and Mechatronics. So in our process control system, we teach students about levels, flows, and pressures. For example, when we turn on our pump and start to fill this tank, our sensors in the tank can tell us whether to fill or empty. And we also get indications of flow and pressure throughout the system. This is an elective, but it is something that's very prevalent in industry. Great skill set to have.
Hello, I'm Daniel Glass, a graduate and now volunteer. Today, I'm going to be showing you a little bit about our mechatronics system. We couldn't get the robot working in time, so instead we just have a little quick run with our 3 integrated PLCs, which are Micrologics 1000s. Here's just a quick example.
Why don't you share a little bit more about the industrial automation program and kind of maybe what we saw in the video?
Okay, industrial automation is ultimately the process of creating automated equipment to remove or to eliminate ergonomic issues or repetitive motion from employees. What we do in this class is we train those employees and we increase their skill set and their skill level to be able to maintain and troubleshoot these complex automated systems. What you seen in the video was the can crusher is one of our PLC finals. That is programmed by our students after they have completed PLC 1. They program it from scratch so that it recognizes the can. It crushes the can, it verifies it's been crushed completely, and then it ejects the can and makes sure that that whole process is complete. Ultimately, it's what us as technicians do. If that process fails, us as a technician or our technicians, we go in there and we troubleshoot and find the issue of the process.
Tell us a little bit about the manufacturing industry here in Ogden and the hot demand.
We have a very large presence, manufacturing presence here in Ogden and in our demographic area. We have Kimberly-Clark, we have Procter & Gamble, Parker Hannifin, Setpoint, EMS Solutions, Autoliv, and Fresenius. So we have some really large manufacturers in this area that have upwards of 10,000 employees total in these facilities. And every facility needs technicians. In a perfect world, a facility would not need a technician because machines won't break down, cars won't break down, processes won't break down. It'll be perfect the first time every time. But with it not being in a perfect world, there's always need for technicians. And in this day and age, there's a greater need right now for those skilled technicians to come in and fill those voids with so many people retiring. Retirement age is there. We're losing thousands of people a month with retirement. And so those positions need to be backfilled.
And it's really an industry that doesn't have enough workers to fill that need. So a great opportunity, I think, to make this a career and know that it's going to be a steady and in-demand career. We are going to open it up for questions now. If you want to ask Mike any questions, you'll just use the chat icon. It's located in the bottom right corner if you just want to type your questions. Only Mike and I are going to see your questions. So if you do want to ask a question live, then just type that in the chat that you want me to unmute your mic, and I can do that. Any students that are asking questions, though, will get some of our prizes. And this is a collapsible water bottle. Kind of cool. And we have hats and some other things. So I'll ask some questions until we get any more kind of coming in. Mike, tell us what kind of students excel in this industry and in your program.
Okay, the type of students really excel in this environment and this climate are the hands-on type students. The students that really want to know how things work. If you were in the younger ages and you tore apart your mom's radio or your dad's TV back in the younger days and wanted to know how it worked internally, that's why you tore it apart. we help you try to put that back together and understand how the components work. So that's one trait that is really needed for this, for industrial automation. The other trait is very intuitive. You need to be very, our intuitive natured students really thrive in this atmosphere. For an example, if you keep breaking a fuse in a machine or in a house, a breaker keeps breaking, a lot of people will just go over there, reset the fuse, replace the fuse, or reset the breaker. A really intuitive and really what we teach is to know why that fuse broke. What happened? Why does that breaker keep tripping? And that's where we really start thinking outside the box and really start troubleshooting the issues of why things are happening.
That's great. I think just another side tip is, students later on, when you're able to, when coming back on campus more, coming to see the industrial automation classroom is just, it's really cool to see all the different machines that you have and that students learn to work on and that they would find in the industry. And you guys as instructors are always so welcoming of students to come in. So just something to think about later when you can come and look at the classroom and be able to see all that it does do in that class. We have a question. How many people join your program a year?
That is a great question. Quite a few.
Yeah,
we get quite a few students.
I want to throw out a number, but I don't know if that's right. I was thinking about maybe 40 to 100. That seems too high?
That's about right. Last month, we had 14 start just last month alone.
Mm-hmm.
We get, the previous month, we had 13. We get a lot of students right now that with this current pandemic that's plagued us, unfortunately, we have a lot of students coming in that got laid off or furloughed and realize that they need a skill set that is required through the pandemic, through these kind of issues or, economic struggles. And one position that maintained and always stayed busy was the technicians, was the maintenance group. When all the other employees were furloughed or released from these facilities for 2 weeks, the technicians and the PM and the maintenance group, electricians, etc., stayed on job and went through all the facility and made sure everything was ready to go. So when they did come back to work, they were ready to rock and roll again. So it's a very stable, very secure career path.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks for asking that question. Another kind of question would be about what distinguishes your program from other manufacturing areas?
Well, our program changes on a daily basis. With the fast-paced, high-tech world that we live in today, with the ever-changing of technology, processing speeds increasing, we are changing on a daily basis. Us as instructors in this class and the manufacturing environment is constantly evolving with the change with the uptick of technology. When technology changes, we must change. If manufacturing facilities do not keep up with technology, they will fall behind and have a struggle to make it. So that's what makes this different from others. We change every day. Everything's changing.
Why don't you tell the students a little bit about how the robotics also play into your programs, especially where you've been such an influence in getting that part into the program?
Well, there's an outlook on robotics. Robotics has taken people's jobs. Well, that couldn't be farther from the truth. The truth is that robotics is actually increasing the workforce, because there still needs to be somebody that needs to maintain that robot, and it also is created jobs to program these robots and just the daily operation of a robot. So putting one robot in place it reduces the ergonomic impact or the repetitive impact of employees, but with that we also have to create a highly skilled workforce to maintain them, to program them, and just to do an everyday operation of programs or monitoring of these robots. So you may install 3 robots, and it may move 2 employees to another area, but that employee maintains 3 robots, and they have to have a certain skill set. And until they get that skill set, you have to have a maintainer and you have to have a programmer. So it's actually increased some of the job openings that are out there.
Well, and increased pay. You know, when you're now are specialized in something like that, that really is going to give a better pay outcome.
Correct.
Mike, will you tell us a little bit how you got started in this industry and just what kind of brought you into this industry?
What got me into it was years ago. I was a mechanic for heavy machinery when I was in my younger days, 16 to 18 years old. I wanted to test the production field because it was a better paying job. Well, I lasted 2 months. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the repetitive motion. It's not the way I was wired. And so when I went to the technician field, every day was a different day. Every day was like Christmas morning. You had no idea what was going to happen to you. You had no idea what was in store for you for the day. So every single day of my 20-plus career was a different day. One day I could be working on a servo molding machine. The next day I could be working on a 10,000-ton mechanical press. So it was it always kept my mind moving, and I never got bored. I always increased my brain capacity and learned things every single day.
Great, thanks, Mike. Another question that just came in about, is there a lot of girls in your program?
Great question.
It is.
Great question. I was a hiring manager for automation group at Parker Hennepin, Salt Lake City. We hired females. Yes. So the short answer to your question is yes, there are. And as a manager of a technical group or technicians, to be honest with you, some of my best technicians that worked for me were female. They are very intuitive. They really know what they're going to do, and they really thrive in this environment. They really do. They process information different than the men do, and they're very particular on how they systematically step through processes. And so they're very good technicians. That was an excellent question. And we actually have 4 female students in our class today. We've had up to 8 female students in our classes in the past, and they thrive in this environment. So great question.
Well, and the coordinator for your program is a female, Jody.
That's correct.
So, that was a great question. So we are out of time for this session. I just want to thank Mike, our industrial automation instructor, for joining us. Thank you to you students for joining us, and we appreciate the questions that you guys asked. For the next session, if you'll just go back to the main Manufacturing Day page, we'll have our follow-up kind of closing session. So thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.